بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وقدوتنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم اللهم أعلمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزيدنا علما يا رب العالمين. So last class we left off with a question, and I'm going to, let's see, I'll pull up the share screen here. We'll look at the book, and I want to hear some people's thoughts. Okay, so look, we have Najmun, and then we've added Alif Lam to Najmun. Look carefully at these four examples and compare them with the examples that we had previous to this. Al-Hajaru, Al-Qamaru, Al-Mindilu, Al-Babu, Al-Waraqu, Al-Labanu. Who notices something slightly different about these examples?
There is shadda or tashaddud there.
Yes, there is something extra. That is a shadda on the letter following lam. Wait a second. How strange. Oh, here we go. We have one right up here. Al-Qamaru does not have a shadda. The shadda is the little, what looks like a W to us in English. It's actually shorthand for a sheen, but they've taken away the three dots, which means shadid or shadda. We have al-qamaru, yet down here we have a shadda on top of the noon in najm, a shadda on top of the ra in rajm, on the ta, on the dal. So what we need to know is what on earth is going on here, and how on earth do we pronounce this? I had gestured towards it when we had heard one of the participants say al-shamsu. Al-shamsu. Well, this is going to be the answer to that question. Okay. There are certain letters in Arabic that we pronounce and certain that we do not pronounce in certain situations. Okay. And this situation is one of them when we're adding alif and lam to the beginning of a word. I'm going to switch the share over to we'll get back to ism fa'al in a minute. This is the concept of sun and moon letters. We'll get back to that. Okay. Now, whenever you study any language, you're studying it at different levels, okay, at the same time. So there's a certain level of study that happens at the level of the entire sentence, right? This is what's known as grammar. Wondering, what word do I put first? Or if I put this word at the end of the sentence, how is it going to affect the meaning, right? Those are grammatical concerns, looking at analyzing everything at the level of the sentence. There's also some things that we study in language that have to do with the level of the individual word, right? This is called morphology, or these are morphological concepts. How do we make a word that reflects someone who does an action? We were getting into that last class, and I'll review it in a second. How does the individual word change with prefixes and suffixes or conjugations, right, to reflect different meanings? In English, we say, I bake a cake. And then if I want to say I am someone who does this action repeatedly or as an occupation, I am a baker, right? ER is what we slap on to the end of a verb in order to make it kind of a person who does this thing, right? This is in morphology. This is a morphological concept. And then there's other things, the third level, things that we do or things that we study or learn at the level of the actual individual letters themselves. Okay? How do we pronounce this letter? Is this letter pronounced the same everywhere in a word, or is it pronounced differently? Right? In English, we're very familiar with this because English pronunciation is extremely, maybe we'll call it unstable. There are lots of different footnotes and exceptions for how to pronounce things in different contexts. Arabic is much more stable, meaning that we're going to pronounce letters with much more consistency. However, there are times in which there are letters that we write that we do not pronounce. Okay, and so here we have an example of this sort of principle in English. So we pronounce the first one, the first word here on the left, glided, right? I glided over the icy road. But then the same suffix, if it follows a different letter, we pronounce it entirely differently. We say talked, as if it were a T, right? This is a principle or a concept in phonology. How do we pronounce certain things in different contexts? Here, in English, the D and the K influence how the ED is pronounced, okay? So that's the same concept that is going on here. When we introduce alif lam on the front of a noun, a common noun, it is going to influence how we pronounce the following letter or the noun at all. What's going to be the determining factor? When do we pronounce the lam and when don't we? Right? We say ash-shams instead of el-shams, but we say el-qamar instead of al-qamar. What's going to influence this? Well, just like in English, the factor that determines this is where in the mouth the word is being, or excuse me, the letter is being pronounced. We have a really excellent diagram here of different parts of the human anatomy and where the letters come from. Anybody who's studied tajweed, they should be familiar with this somewhat. We're only going to focus on 3 of them because they're the ones that are relevant to us learning whether we're going to pronounce the lam or not. And those 3 are the ones right here in the middle. Some letters are formed with the mouth, or the lips rather. Some are formed with the tongue, and some are formed with the throat. Okay? So what we have here is a principle in Arabic phonology that if there are 2 letters, the first one of which has a sukun, and they're next to each other, and they're pronounced at the same place, or very, very close to each other in where they're pronounced, then they are merged together. Okay? This idea or this concept is called idgham. Idgham translates as merging. Anybody who does Quran at all, you've probably already been introduced to the concept of idgham, especially when it comes to how to pronounce the noon. Well, there's other types of idgham, right? One of the types of idgham is idgham of the lam in alif lam to the word that comes after it. So let's see, I'm going to pick on somebody. I'm going to pick on Ibrahim. Ibrahim, close your eyes and pronounce the lam. And then tell me where in your mouth is it being pronounced?
At the front of my mouth. My tongue is touching the roof and the back of my 2 front teeth and the bottom of my mouth.
Okay. So the principal thing that's going on, I apologize, I actually had my sound on mute, so I caught only half of your answer. The tongue, right? The tongue,
Yes.
biggest part. What part of the tongue? The back of the tongue, the tip of the tongue?
Front. The front.
Front of the tongue. Excellent, good. Excellent. So if the lam is pronounced at the front of the tongue, then anything else that's pronounced at the front of the tongue is going to be merged into the lam, or I should say the lam is going to be merged into it. Anything that is pronounced close to that area, an adjacent area right next door, it is also going to have the lam merge into it. Let's see. There's a diagram here that is really, really nice. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is what we're talking about. There's the lam right there. Look at all of the letters that are pronounced very, very close to the lam. Ra, nun, ta, da, ta, sha, ba, va, tha, tha, za, sa, sa. All of those are going to have the lam disappear into them, dissolve into them, merge into them, if we have a word that begins with alif lam. So our first example was najmun, right? If we add alif lam to it, it becomes an-najmu, an-najmu. We skip pronouncing the lam entirely. Why? Because look at how close the lam and the nun are to each other. It's easier on the tongue to just merge them together into one sound. Next, we had in your book, rajulun, rajulun, a man. If we add alif lam to it, instead of saying al-rajul, which is slightly difficult, we merge the lam into the ra. Al-rajul, al-rajul. The same for shams, shamsun. Instead of saying al-shamsu, we say ash-shamsu, ash-shamsu, and so on and so forth. Wat-tini wa-zaytun, right? If you had pronounced every letter in that ayah, you would have said wal-tini wal-zaytun. No. It sounds off, right? It's more difficult. Wat-tini wa-zaytun. Because the lam disappears, because the lam merges into the following letter, if it's pronounced next to it, that second letter has to double in duration. Okay? It would not be clear if we just said an-najmu, an-najmu, an-najmu. It would sound like a question, right? Remember in the beginning of class, the first lessons where we added a hamza before a word, najmun, an-najmu hada? It would sound like a question. So we add an extra beat of duration, which is represented or noted by the shadda, an-najmu, al-rajulu, and so on and so forth. Okay? If you look at all the other letters, all of the letters that are pronounced with the lips, ba, waw, mim, fa, those, the lam does not get merged. They're far enough away. Al-fajr, al-bab, al-waw. The same with the ones that are pronounced in the throat. Al-kha, al-qa, al-ha, al-hajab, right? And then we have the only two letters that are pronounced with the middle of the tongue, jim and ya. They have other qualities that make them exempt from merging with the lam. So did we cover it? Okay, so basically all of your letters that are colored in red here, they are called the sun letters. Why are they called the sun letters? Because sun in Arabic begins with it's ash-shams, with sheen. Sheen is a sun letter. And so it's emblematic or iconic of the rest of them. What's the rule? the lam is silent, and the following letter will be doubled, represented by a shadda. And we already explained all of this. Very good. What are the other letters? The others are called moon letters. Why are they called moon letters? Because the word for moon, al-qamar, begins with a qaf, which is pronounced way far away from the lam in the back of the throat, and so is far away enough to be distinct, to not merge in with the lam, and so they've called it the moon letters. Does anybody have any questions about this? We are going to practice this in just a moment. If we go back to, let's go back to our book. Now, let's have Ibrahim. I want you to read for me this first example. Read the first one with the tanween, and then the second one with the alif lam.
Najmun and Najm and Najmun
And najmu.
and Najmun.
What I hear you doing is I hear you putting a tanween at the end of this, which we have to get rid of the tanween.
And Najmun. Najmu.
Yeah, you got it. I knew you had it. Sometimes things get caught in the mouth. And najmu. Good. And najmu. So you hear how he sat on this noon, an extra beat, a little bit longer than he normally would. And he also got rid of the tanween because we have alif lam. Najmun and najmu. Good. Someone from the Sayyid family, could you do the next example?
Rajulun ar-rajulu.
Very good, excellent job. And we said that rajulun was man, a man. And if we want to say the man, al-rajulu. Very good. Excellent. If Muhsin is there, could you do the following one?
Dikun adiku.
Excellent. Good job. So dikun is a rooster. I'm not sure if we had that word before. Dikun is a rooster, and we're going to have a lot of new vocab today, inshallah. Ad-diku, the rooster. Very good. And you hear how he doubled the dal sound. He did not pronounce the lam. It's been merged into the dal. And we have to drop our tanween because we have alif lam. Last one. Ismail, can you do this one for me? Do you have the book with you? You are muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. I don't have the book with me, but I'm gonna try to read it.
Okay.
Talibun.
Good. Talibun. Good. Now slap an alif lam on there. What does it become?
Al-Talibu.
Excellent. Great job, Ismail. That's exactly it. So you hear how he sat on the ta, an extra beat to give it that shadda. Al-Talibu. And he took away the tanween because it does have, at the end of the day, it does have alif lam. Excellent work. Whoa, now we got a whole bunch of other examples to practice and some unfamiliar words. So let's keep going down the list. Masarrat, can you do number one?
An-najmu ba'idun.
Excellent. Could you also translate that for us?
The star is far.
Excellent. Very good. You hear how she doubled the pronunciation of the nun because the lam merges into it. An-najmu ba'idun. Very good. Let's see, number two. Sister Mia, could you do number two?
Okay. Ar-rajulu waqif.
Good. What does that mean?
I don't know the meaning.
That's why we come together, so that we can learn from each other. Al-rajulu is the man. Waqifun is standing. Excellent. And this is a really good segue to talk about. I misspoke the other day when we were explaining. Someone had a great question. The question was, why do we translate is standing, which is a verb? It's the present progressive of the present continuous tense in English. But here in Arabic, it's an ism, waqifun. How does that work? And without going beating a dead horse or going into too much detail, let me get back here. We said that literally anything on this pattern of fa'il, talib, waqif is the doer. So like our baker example, I bake a cake. Who bakes the cake? The baker. Okay, in English, we put that ER on the end of a verb to transform it into a noun to show somebody who's doing that action. Same thing in Arabic, it's on this pattern of fa'il. We call it ism fa'il, literally the doer, the one who does. So if we have the verb waqafa, to stand, waqifun means literally a stander. Okay, jalasa, which means to sit, becomes jalisun, literally means a sitter. But in English, we would never say the teacher is a sitter, the teacher is a stander. And so we translate it with the present progressive or the present continuous tense in order to get the same meaning. What it means to us and to them, the teacher is standing. And I'll just give a really brief tajweed point because there's doubt when it comes to this type of word. Let's see, where do we go here? What's the correct pronunciation if we have this word in the Quran? Is it waqif with tafkhim of the alif, or is it waqif with tarqiq of the alif? You hear the difference? Waqif, waqif. Yes, that is correct. We have to keep, this is something, Mir, I'm not picking on you, but this is a very, very, very common thing in the pronunciation of the Quran. People know that qaf is coming, and they know qaf is dark, qi. And so they anticipate it, and so they actually let it affect the letter that comes before it. Whereas in tajweed, every letter has to be taken separately when it comes to the vowel sound. So instead of waqif, it's actually waqif. The man is standing. Excellent work. Cool, we're going to get some new words here. Let's see. Who's next on our list? We have Tamim. Can you do number 3?
السكر حلو.
Excellent job. What's that mean? You know?
The sugar, I'm going to guess, is sweet.
Excellent. That's good. Hulwun is sweet. So you have a new vocab word. Hulwun is sweet. As-sukkaru is sugar, as we said, I think, before we had that. Excellent. Next, we have the Shahada family. Could you do number 4? Someone from the Shahada family.
الطالب مريض.
Excellent work. Marid means sick, ill, right? Not feeling well. Well, there's some more vocab. Al-talib, the student, is ill, is sick. And we heard how the extra duration, the extra beat was given to the letter ta, because the lam from alif lam merges with the ta because they're pronounced right next to each other. At-talibu, just like we say in Surah Al-Tariq, wat-tariqa, right? What? We don't say the lam, we skip right into the ta and we double it. Great. I don't want to leave anybody out from the Shahada family. If there's somebody else behind that device, could you do number 5?
الديك جميل.
Yes. What does that mean? Can you translate?
The rooster is beautiful.
There are beautiful roosters. I've seen some beautiful roosters in my time. right? Addiku, and listen to how he did not pronounce the lam. He jumped right into the dal and he doubled it. Addiku jamilun. Excellent work. Jumping right back up top to Ismail. Could you try number 6? This one right here. You're on mute. You got to unmute yourself.
All right. Bismillah. Al-Daftarun. Al-Daftaru. Jariyatu.
Okay, you know what I'm gonna get you, Ismail, because Ismail sits with me at Fajr and does Quran. Is this a ra? This letter here, is that a ra?
No, that's that.
Dal. Yes, that's a dal. Check out how the ra up here hangs down below everything else, below the ya, below the bot. And the dal is staying up even with the ya. So it does look similar to the ra, but it is a dal. So go ahead, read it one more time.
Al-Dhafitaru. Jadiyalu.
Jadidun. Very good. Aywa. Good job. Very good try. You did a good job. You're joining up with us late, so you're doing a great job. Ad-daftaru. Daftar is a notebook. It's a notebook you write in, okay, that you take notes in. So the word is daftarun. But because we add alif lam, now we make it definite. We say the notebook. Now we have this lam, which happens to be right next to the dal, pronounced with the tip of the tongue. So we're going to merge the lam into the dal. We double the dal. Ad-daftaru. Jadidun. Jadidun means new. So the meaning of this sentence, the notebook is new. Very good. Masarrat, could you do number 7, please?
التاجر غني. The businessman is wealthy, self-sufficient.
Yes, excellent work. So we have one old word and one new word. At-tajiru, the businessman, the trader, can also be a shopkeeper. Ghaniyun, ghani, one of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rich, wealthy. Allah is al-ghani, meaning he is the sufficient, the one who is free from need. And listen to how she doubled the ta. She did not pronounce the lam. She merged it into the ta. At-tajiru ghaniyun. Excellent work. Moving right along. Mir, give number 8 a shot.
Okay. الدكان مفتوح.
Excellent work. Great job. Ad-dukanu is a new word we have not learned yet. It means the shop or the store. And listen to how she merged the lam into the dal, and so she had to double that dal sound. Ad-dukanu. Maftuhun. Maftuhun means open. The store is open. The shop is open. Tamim, could you do number 9 for us?
الولد فقير.
Great. Do you know what that means?
The boy is poor.
Yes. Excellent work. Faqir is the opposite of ghani. So it's very helpful that we've learned a lot of these adjectives in opposites, right? We have one and its opposite. So faqirun means poor. Al-waladu, the boy, is poor. Now, I'm going to pick on Tamim because I know that he's a little bit more advanced than some of our students, and to give everybody else a little bit of refresher of the grammar of the type of sentence that we're talking about. This sentence, al-waladu faqirun, which word is the mubtada?
الولد.
Excellent. Very good. What's a sign of it being, like, how do we know? other than it's the first word? Is there something about al-waladu that might clue us into the fact that it's mubtada?
One would be that it ends with like al-waladu, at the name of the vowel is not coming to me right now. I think dhamma.
Good, excellent. Which is a sign that it is ma'rifa, right? Or
Yeah.
excellent. So that's correct. And so by process of elimination, excellent work to me, mashallah. So by process of elimination, the khabar is the other word, faqirun. So just as a brief refresher, remember, I don't want to belabor the point, but it's helpful for your tasawwur, your bird's eye view organization of the Arabic language. We are talking about jumla ismiya, sentences that begin with ism. It has two parts, this type of sentence, the mubtada and the khabar. Both the mubtada and the khabar are part of the same grammatical case, which is called marfu'. Marfu' is represented by a dhamma. That's why it has a dhamma at the end of walad and some type of dhamma at the end of faqir. But they're different, the mubtada and the khabar, in that the mubtada is definite and the khabar is indefinite. In Arabic, this is ma'rifa and nakira, and that is represented by the fact that the mubtada here only has one dhamma, whereas faqir has a tanween. It has two dhammas, faqirun. Excellent work. Okay. Moving down to the shahada family. Could you do number 10 for us?
التفاح لذيذ.
Excellent work. Do you know what, I'm assuming you know what that means. Could you translate for us?
التفاح is an apple.
Mhm.
And لذيذ, I'm not sure, but I think it's delicious.
Yes, it is. Very good. We live in New York, and that's the apple capital of the United States. And apples are indeed delicious. So, ladidun, new word for everybody who hasn't been exposed to it previously. Delicious. At-tufahu, apple. With alif lam, it becomes the apple is delicious. And we heard she did a fantastic job not pronouncing the lam. Yes, Mia, shoot your question.
Okay, so like you taught us many meaning of the words before. I forgot to write a lot. And it's hard for me to go back to all the videos and actually catch the words. So do you like provide any hard copy for the previous study like we did? Like, I don't know how it's gonna work.
That's a really good idea, Mia. Maybe, and this is really where the students can come together. We should have some sort of like PDF or even just like someone take a picture of their notes who made like a nice vocab sheet of all of the new words and has written the definitions. Maybe somebody who has done that can email it to me and I'll share it to the group. This is something that we ran into time and time again studying in Medina, where, things happen. I mean, you miss a class or you miss two classes or something, comes up, or maybe you just didn't take great notes on one particular day. The more the students help each other, the more everyone's going to learn, right? So we'll try to recapture some of that atmosphere. Somebody, inshallah, who's taking good notes, take a picture or a screenshot, send it to me via email, and we will share it here, or I'll send it out via email, inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I don't want anybody to sit and suffer silently, right? I don't want anybody to, because then you're going to get discouraged and you're like, oh, I'm not going to go to class because, I'm behind and, everybody knows more than me. I mean, I remember when we went to Medina, there were some students in the Arabic program that already knew Arabic like fluently. And it was very discouraging, right? There are some funny stories. We don't necessarily have time to go over it to tell them right now. But if you just try to everybody work together, don't worry about anybody's level, who else is doing better than you or knows more than you or had prior study than you or prior experience. We're all here to help each other. And if there's somebody in class that knows more than you, then what we want to do is we want to turn that into an asset for everybody, right? So we'll find whatever opportunities we can to improve each other and help each other in practice. And once COVID's over, one of the things that I really want to do, especially in person in the masjid, is to have like an Arabic conversation hour, like once a week or something like that. One for the brothers, one for the sisters, to practice what we learn in here and to try to strengthen our skills and bring it down from our heads and put it on our tongues. Excellent. See, we already have a taker. I can share some of my notes from Syra. Thank you so much, Sister Syra. Okay, I will go back to the Sayyid family for number 11. Will that be live streamed for those who are not in New York? We will have to see. This is imagining life post-COVID, which we're not there yet. But we'll see what happens. Inshallah, we'll try to share the khair. Someone from the Sayyid family, could you please do number 11? Actually, you can split this one up. Why don't you split it down the middle? One of you do the first half and the other one do the second half.
At-tabibu tawilun.
Excellent. That means the doctor is tall. Okay, so very suitable sentence. At-tabib, the doctor. Tawilun means tall.
والمدرس قصير.
Excellent.
Teacher short.
Yes, exactly. So we have the opposite. The doctor is tall, and you heard how Sister Syra did an excellent job not pronouncing the lam, merging it into the ta, giving the ta its extra little beat of duration. And then we have mim, which is pronounced on the lips, and so is a moon letter, not a sun letter. So we pronounce that lam. وَالْمُدَرِّسُ وَالْمُدَرِّسُ قَصِيرٌ, and qasir is the opposite of tawil. Excellent work. Okay, we're just about at the end of our time. So I would like you all to practice the next exercise in the interim until next class. And if you can do the one after that, that would be even better. So what they're trying to test you on here, or the skill that they're trying to develop, is your recognition, right? Because it's easy to recognize the sun letters when you have an exercise where they're all sun letters, and then recognize the moon letters when you have an exercise and all the examples are moon letters. Well, now they're going to mix them up. So you'll have al-babu, at-tajiru, an-najmu, al-qamaru, ad-diku, al-ma'u, right? And so now it's testing your reflexes. So try to go through them once, twice, 3 times even if you can, to kind of acclimate yourself to recognizing what are those letters that need to be merged with the lam and what are the ones that are not. And the following exercise is similar to what we've learned before, which is where you're going to be filling in the mubtada that makes sense for the khabar that is given. However, now you're given an extra thing to think about, right? So everything that the author is doing here, and the author has put this book together very, very deliberately, he's slowly adding things for you to have to consider. He's not overwhelming you all at once. The first thing that we had to consider was the ending of the khabar. He gave us sentences that began with, yes, inshallah we can. Can we share the PowerPoint with everybody? Inshallah we can. The first thing was the ending of the khabar. He gave us sentences with hada so that we didn't have to worry about the mubtada. All we had to worry about was the khabar. And then after that, now he brings in using the mubtada with certain words, common nouns, al-qamaru, al-babu, right? And so now we have to worry about 2 things. Well, now he's added a third thing for us to worry about, which is the alif lam in the mubtada. Do you pronounce the lam or do you not pronounce the lam? Do you merge it into the next letter? So slowly he's going to let you climb the ladder. Excellent work. Does anybody have any final questions before we dismiss for today?
I did have a quick question. if I could.
Yes, please.
There's quite a few words that you bring up that are, let's call them traditional Arabic, which I'm trying to learn the definitions of. And I know that people speak different dialects of Arabic all around the world.
Yeah.
So what's hard for me sometimes is I'll hear a word that is, Greek, and I'll try to learn it, but it's so hard to unlearn the word that I already knew for that. So is there let me call it a traditional, correct, if you will, quote unquote, Arabic? Or is it, I know there's the Quranic Arabic, and I know there's the regular dialect that's generic, if you will. Right. Is there a definitive word for each one of these items, or does it really depend on the region of the world you're in?
Right. You have to look at language as a history, right? Like even if you take a word like sayara, right? Sayara is in the Quran, right? And obviously there weren't cars back then, right? So language naturally evolves or changes, let's say, because evolve kind of has a value to it, like a positive value. Let's just say it changes over time, okay? There's nothing wrong with those changes. In fact, those changes are necessary. Those changes, they enable languages to stay relevant because new things happen, things that nobody had ever seen before or experienced before, right? So how to compartmentalize between the two? Basically, the classical Arabic is something that is frozen in time, that is our anchor. It is the basis of all dialects and is the basis of all slang. And so understanding the classical Arabic is going to increase your understanding of the dialect over time. There's things that you're going to find in dialect that they're actually based off of things in classical Arabic, things that even they were saying at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So, I don't have an easy answer for you. Everybody has to find a way to kind of compartmentalize it. It's not like necessarily that one's good and the other's bad, right? They can each kind of help the learning of the other, but it is a struggle. It is a struggle to keep them separate. I don't know if that helps at all or not.
No, Jazakallah, it does. It's hard because speaking, let's call it proper traditional Arabic to a general person who doesn't, it's almost like silly talk. They're like, what do you mean?
No, it's like, oh, we have stories. Believe me, we have stories. Yeah. Like, for example, as students in Medina, one time we got in a cab and we had to go someplace, and the cab driver asks us where we want to go. And we only speak Fusha. We only speak classical Arabic. And we saw, okay, we need to go here and then turn left and then here. And he's just looking at us. And after we're finished, he says, Sadaqallah al-Azim. Like, he thought that we were reciting Quran because that's the only Arabic that we knew, right? So this is something that's well known. It's not something that's necessarily, like bad. It's just the way it is. So you would want to necessarily use your classical Arabic and then go talking to people with that. But your classical Arabic is like a tool in your tool belt that you're using to understand the Quran and the Hadith primarily, right? And it will also show you new things that you never thought about your dialect that you speak. Like Aywa is actually Wallah, and it's in the Quran, right? Like a lot of contemporary abbreviations and contractions actually have roots in classical Arabic. So language is just, you can just keep studying it. There's always more to learn. Okay, we had another question in the chat box. In one of the earlier lessons, you mentioned how in a synthetic language the order does not matter. So could we reverse the sequence, of the mubtada and khabar? Very good question. Okay, I will qualify what I might have said. Let's say, to be technical, order matters less in synthetic languages, first of all, okay? Secondly, could we reverse the mubtada and khabar? Yes, we can. In certain situations, we will get there. Right now, we're learning the base structure. There are certain scenarios where you have to reverse the mubtada and the khabar. They call it khabar muqaddam and mubtada mu'akhar, right? No, you're not trying to run before you can walk, but I'm answering your question because, mashallah, there are many people in the class that they've even just with a little taste of the Arabic grammar, they've foreseen where it can go. So your answer is yes. But when we change the order does have small influences in meaning. They're not going to change the meaning entirely like our example in English, but they can add emphasis, right? And we'll see that very soon, because I think in the next lesson we're going to start to go to khabars that aren't ism. We're going to use phrases in the khabar instead of just single words. And so in certain scenarios, we can put that up in front of the mubtada and it gives emphasis, right? We're trying to emphasize one part of the sentence as opposed to another one. We'll see all of that very soon, inshallah. So very good question. Basic answer is yes, we can reverse the order. And it will influence the meaning of the sentence, but the basic meaning that's trying to be communicated will still be intact. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Fantastic. Great job. Anyone else? I thoroughly enjoy this class, and I hope you do too. And if there's anything that I can do to make this class more enjoyable, we don't want to leave anyone behind. We don't want to make anyone feel like they can't do it. Let me know in person, email, any sort of way, and we'll do what we have to do so that everybody benefits, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.